Viktor Shokin, the ex-prosecutor of the Ukraine. Why has Fox News, Newsmax, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, or any of the other news outlets had a conversation with Viktor Shokin? This lady did, and her name is Chanel Rion. No relation. This is John Rion. Welcome to my channel. I would like to just get the truth to you from Viktor Shokin's own words. He voluntarily resigned. He did not get fired, and he was never prosecuted in Ukraine for any illegal activities as Prosecutor General. In other words, he just was forced to resign so that the $1 billion from the USA would make it to Ukraine by the request of Joe Biden, that he be removed from office, because at the time that he was in office as Prosecuting General of the Ukraine, he was investigating Burisma, and he wanted to freeze all Burisma's assets. And if you're working for a company and your company's assets get frozen, guess what? You don't get paid. So whoever's working for Burisma would not have gotten paid if Burisma's assets were frozen. Who was working for Burisma? Hunter? Okay, so let's move on. As we're going to scroll down, and we're going to see that this lady, Chanel Rion, talked to Viktor Shokin 3 years ago. Okay, and this video that I'm going to play a clip from, it's only about 4 minutes long, and the link will be down in the description, has only gotten 584,000 views. Okay, that's not that many views for the amount of truth that is revealed in this video. And why has no other news broadcasting outlets shown what this lady was able to capture on video as she sat down and had a one-on-one with Viktor Shokin?
Former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin told One American News in Kiev that in July and August of 2015, his office prepared to question Hunter Biden over money laundering activities tracing directly back to Burisma. Shokin says pressure to stop investigating Hunter Biden's Burisma activities then increased, and President Poroshenko personally asked Shokin to wind down the Burisma investigation to appease then Vice President and Obama's Ukraine point man, Joe Biden. As the months passed, more cases and investigations into Burisma began to spring up, and President Poroshenko came to Shokin's office and told Shokin the Burisma case was why Joe Biden wouldn't release $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees, money Ukraine needed desperately.
Yes,
said Shokin. That's what he told me. He came to me and said, "You are a patriot of Ukraine. We need this $1 billion. We're at war, and if you are a patriot, you will close this case." My conversation with Poroshenko on this, Shokin says, was in a phone call. It was after we started seizing Burisma assets in Ukraine when Poroshenko called me and said, "Listen, this all has to stop already. Joe Biden's temper is overflowing. This seizing of Burisma assets," said Poroshenko, was the last straw. Shokin says Poroshenko then paid him a visit in his office, asking for Shokin's resignation. Shokin responded and asked, "Why do I have to go? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm doing my job. This is standard procedure. We have reason to freeze Burisma assets." And Poroshenko said, "Biden is angry about you freezing Burisma assets. I'll figure something out." We asked Shokin if this demand for a resignation was specifically because Biden had asked for it, or if there were other possible reasons. Shokin insists it was all Biden. Because of Biden, says Shokin. Everyone knew what was going on. Poroshenko told me directly that I had to step down as Prosecutor General because of Joe Biden. Biden and leftist media claim Shokin was corrupt and inept and had to be dismissed, despite the fact that not a single charge of corruption has ever been raised or proven against Shokin to date. To this, Shokin shrugs. Shokin says people don't have to believe him. Just look at the transcripts. Biden's transcripts, that is. The transcripts of Biden's telephone conversations with Poroshenko, says Shokin, is where the truth will show itself. Americans must demand it. And if they do, they will see, broad as day, Joe Biden was illegally influencing foreign officials in order to protect his son, Hunter, and shield illegal money laundering activities. One American News verified on camera what Shokin has stated for months when he issued a stunning 12-page sworn affidavit to an Austrian court stating how Joe Biden was directly involved in interfering with active cases under investigation.
And just for you, I went and found that sworn affidavit by Viktor Shokin. It's right here, all 12 pages of it. We're going to scroll down a bit to where he says the truth is, and then he explains from there. And here we go, right here. Let me zoom in on this. I'll put a link to this full 12-page affidavit, and it's a sworn testimony, down in the description so you can read it for yourself if you'd like to. Now, don't expect me to put a Ukrainian accent in here because I'm just going to read it the best I can. The truth is that I was forced out because I was leading a wide-ranging corruption probe into Burisma Holdings. Burisma, a natural gas firm active in Ukraine, and Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was a member of the board of directors. I assume Burisma, which was connected with gas extraction, had the support of the U.S. Vice President Joe Biden because his son was on the board of directors. On several occasions, President Poroshenko asked me to have a look at the criminal case against Burisma and consider the possibility of winding down the investigative actions in respect of this company. But I refused to close the investigation. Therefore, I was forced to leave office under direct and intense pressure from Joe Biden and the U.S. administration. In my conversations with Poroshenko at the time, he was empathetic. That I should cease my investigation regarding Burisma. When I did not, he said that the U.S., via Biden, were refusing to release the U.S. $1 billion promised to Ukraine. He said that he had no choice, therefore, but to ask me to resign. And it goes on and on and on, and you can read it for yourself. The link is in the description. Now, this video we're going to listen to a little bit of is an amazing timeline of corruption, and it is brought to you by Scott Perry, and it has only got 812,000 views. But listen to this rundown of this timeline in regards to Burisma.
Involved not only in losing that money that the American taxpayer works hard for, but in the corruption itself. And I want to bring another series of events to you. The UK Serious Fraud Office froze $23 million of a guy named Zolchevsky's assets. He was in charge of Burisma. On April 13th of 2014, there was Hunter Biden said the contract should start now, not after the upcoming visit of my guy, his guy being the Vice President of the United States. On April 22nd of the same year, Hunter and Archer said that Ukraine must understand the value of Burisma. And on May 12th of 2014, Hunter Biden said started working for the Burisma board at $83,000 in change per month. On May 12th, Zolchevsky's envoy said, use your influence to combat the Ukrainian government's allegations against Burisma. George Kent from our embassy told the DOJ that Burisma paid $7 million in bribes to prosecutors to kill the investigation into bribes for gas and oil permit license. February 10th, 2015, Burisma replaced by Viktor Shokin. And then a Soros-funded activist group called the Anti-Corruption Action Center, which is ironic, said that Shokin was not pursuing Zolchevsky, which, of course, was absolutely not the case, because on February 2nd of the same year, Viktor Shokin issued arrest warrants for Zolchevsky and wanted to seize his assets. And then on February 12th of 2016, President Biden called then President Poroshenko. And then on February 17/18 of 2016, literally 10 days later or thereabouts, Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor general, was fired. May 13th of 2016, Joe Biden, the president now, vice president then, tells President Poroshenko that $1 billion in loan guarantees would be forthcoming. And then in the intervening time, then Vice President Biden went before the Council on Foreign Relations and announced that I told them they had to fire the prosecutor general, or they want to get the loan guarantees. And what do you know? Son of a bitch, the prosecutor was fired. And then in April of 2020, Viktor Shokin was formally recorded as the victim of an alleged crime by former Vice President Joe Biden. So, sir, with all of that information, in 2019, one of your predecessors as Prosecutor General announced a reinvestigation into Burisma and some of their high-level employees. The Prosecutor General was reopening and auditing criminal cases that his office believed had been mishandled or that the conduct of the previous offices had not been proper. Since that time, it has been announced that those investigations have been put on hold because of the inability to locate the former CEO of Burisma. But we probably can locate Hunter Biden.
And last but not least, as we end this video, newly leaked audio reveals private phone conversation between former Vice President Joe Biden and former Ukrainian President Viktor Poroshenko.
Assuming that there is a new government and a new prosecutor general, I am prepared to do a public signing of the commitment for the $1 billion.
And despite of the fact that we didn't have any corruption charges, we don't have any information about he doing something wrong, I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday, I especially asked him to resign.
Congratulations on installing the new Prosecutor General. It's going to be critical for him to work quickly to repair the damage Shokin did. And I'm a man of my word. And that now that the new Prosecutor General is in place, we're ready to move forward in signing that new $1 billion loan guarantee.
I want to thank you for watching this video. My main purpose is to get to the truth, to just give you information to digest and form your own opinion. In one of my up-and-coming videos, I'd like to talk about what Oscar Callaway put to the Congressional records in volume 54, page 2947 to 48 on February 9th, 1917, and you will start to understand how through newspapers, to radio, to television, to magazines, to the internet, to cable, to news media worldwide, how there has been a controlling interest behind the editorial publications of things in regards to information we receive from the higher-ups that will feed you both sides of one story. In March 1915, the J.P. Morgan interest, the steel shipbuilding and power interest, and their subsidiaries, organizations, got together 12 high up in the newspaper world and employed them to select the most influential newspapers in the United States, and sufficient number of them to control generally the policy of the daily press in the United States. And they did. These 12 men worked the problems out by selecting 179 newspapers and then began by the elimination process to retain only those necessary for the purpose of controlling the general policy of the daily press throughout the country. They found it was only necessary to purchase control of 25 of the greatest newspapers. 25 papers were decreed upon. Emissaries were sent to purchase the policy, national and international, of these papers. An agreement was reached. The policy of the papers was bought to be paid for by the month. An editor was furnished for each paper to properly supervise and edit information regarding the questions of preparedness, militarism, financial policies, and other things on a national and international nature considered vital to the interest of the purchasers. They did this for profit because they were trying to get us into World War I, and they knew by putting forth certain stories to get the public behind them to join this war that they would make billions of dollars. So, till my next video, this is John Rion saying, seek the truth daily. The truth will find you seeking.